Thank you for joining me today. My name is Chris, and this is going to be about a 60-minute practice. It's going to have a lot of movement, so feel free to modify at any point, whatever feels best. Just listen to your body, and it might not be the same yesterday as it is today. And feel free to get a drink of water at any point. Go ahead and pause and do that. I'll try and remind you, but feel free to take those pauses for yourself when you need them. We'll be starting in a seated position on our mat, facing the front of your mat. Just an easy seated position, getting comfortable, settling in, long straight spine, crown of your head is up toward the sky, and just noticing your breath. Not trying to change it in any way, just noticing. And we will start to deepen those breaths and focusing on breathing in and out through the nose. This is also a good time to set an intention for your practice. So if there's something specific that you're hoping to gain during this practice, if you're trying to calm your mental chatter, or if you're trying to really get your heart pumping, if you're trying to practice kindness or forgiveness toward yourself or toward others, whatever your intention is, feel free to set that and come back to it throughout the class. And feel free to bring your focus back to your breathing if at any point your mind starts to wander. So let's call attention to our breath again. Inhaling for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top. 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, we'll do those same counts. Inhale. Hold at the top. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. You might notice that ocean sound if you're making a constriction in the back of your throat. That Ujjayi breath can help you throughout class. One more time. Exhale. Flutter your eyes open if they were closed, and go ahead and start with some gentle movements. We'll stay in the seated position, but just rocking our head from side to side, beginning to stretch that neck, loosen up the spine, taking some head circles, left ear to left shoulder, gaze all the way up toward the ceiling, right ear to right shoulder, and all the way down, chin to chest. One more time. If only circling toward the front feels better on your neck, don't hesitate to make that modification. Go ahead and reverse those circles. Left ear to left shoulder, chin to chest. Right ear to right shoulder, gaze to the sky. One more time, left, forward, right, and now come back to center. We'll now do some circles with our thoracic spine, warming that up. So over to the right, sinking toward the back, over to the left, and then up toward the front of your mat. Nice smooth circle, like you're scraping the inside of a peanut butter jar with your thorax. Just continuing in in one direction. And then we'll pause and reverse. Left side toward the back, toward the right, and the front. One more time. And then pause, long straight spine. Plant your hands behind you on the mat. Bring your feet up toward the edges of your mat so that they're planted firmly. And you can either stay like this, or you can rock your knees from side to side, letting those knees fall to the left so that both legs make a 90-degree. And then coming through center and falling to the right. We'll be doing that a few more times. You can either keep your hands planted behind you, or you can bring them up off of the mat if you're looking for a little bit more of a challenge. My body tends to walk itself forward if I don't have my hands on the mat. We're just warming up those hips. It's okay if your knees don't fall all the way down to the earth on each side. And it's okay if they're not the same from one side to the other. Meeting back at center, recentering yourself on your mat, crossing your ankles to roll forward into tabletop position, planting your palms, knees directly under your hips. And we'll continue warming up the spine with some cat-cows, allowing your spine to sink down toward the mat, your gaze to be up toward the wall in front of you, and then sinking your gaze down toward your belly button while your spine lifts toward the sky. And drawing that line with your nose all the way back to the front of the room again. And your spine sinks down toward the mat. And again, cat, cow. Connecting with your breath, inhale. And exhale. One more time, inhale. Exhale. You can take other movements in cat-cow if you'd like. Just really giving your spine a chance to warm up. And then we'll be threading the needle, so allow your right hand to reach up toward the sky, left palm to plant on the earth. Reaching your right hand underneath you, bringing that right shoulder down to the mat as well as your right cheek. Options with your left arm to walk it out toward the front of your mat, or to take it into a light bind at your lower back, or to keep that hand planted near your face. Staying here for 3 breaths. Coming back to your intention. Replanting your hand near your face and unwinding the spine. Planting both hands on the mat directly under your shoulders, and then same thing on the opposite side. Left hand reaches up to the sky, threading under your body. Left shoulder plants on the mat. Your right hand takes probably the same bind as you took on the other side. That said, if the two sides feel different and you have different needs on this side, do what feels best for you. 2 more breaths. Replanting your right palm, unthreading, unwinding, and then planting both hands on the mat. From here, we'll be moving to continue warming up the spine. So first coming into a plank pose on your knees. We'll be using plank a lot during this class. At any point, you're welcome to take plank on your knees or on your toes. You have both choices. For right now, we'll be on our knees and we'll be lowering all the way down to the mat. Again, continuing to warm up that spine. We'll be taking some baby cobras, so just peeling the shoulders up off the mat, keeping your pelvis and the tops of your feet planted firmly on the earth, and then lower back down, right cheek to the mat. Peeling those shoulders back up, gaze is down at the mat, crown of the head extends long, so you have a lot of extension through your neck. And very little weight in your hands. You could even test by lifting them off of the mat. Lower back down, left cheek to the mat. One more time, baby cobra. Notice your pelvis pressing into the earth, crown of your head extending long, and right cheek to the mat. This time we'll be pressing through our palms and coming up into cobra, keeping those elbows close to your body, really extending long through the upper body and keeping the lower body planted firmly on the mat. Lowering all the way down, left cheek to the mat. We'll do that one more time. Peel the shoulders first, press with the palms, keep the elbows in, keep the hips down toward the earth, and back down to the mat. And for this last time, you can repeat either of the other cobras or come into upward dog. We'll be using this also numerous times throughout the practice, so I just wanted to call your attention to it as an option. Any of those 3 options are absolutely fine. In upward dog, your hips are off of the mat, your shoulders are directly over your wrists, and it's your palms and the tops of your feet that are making contact with the mat. Go ahead and lower all the way back down. And then we'll go through just one vinyasa using the plank on our knees to start. If you'd like a full vinyasa with on your toes to start in plank, go ahead. For this one, knee plank, lower to the mat, lifting to cobra, and then pressing through the palms to come back to child's pose or downward dog. We'll do that one more time, coming into kneeling plank. Lowering to the mat, baby cobra, lowering down, pressing through your palms all the way back to child's pose. You can also take puppy dog here or downward dog. We'll all curl our toes and meet in downward dog. This is our first downward dog of class, so go ahead and enjoy it. Feel that stretch through your hamstrings. Take a deep bend in your knees. Allow your hips to be pulled toward the back of the room and up toward the sky, getting a lot of extension through your spine before you ease your heels down toward the earth. You can go ahead and walk your feet a little bit. Whatever helps you to settle into this downward dog. And then take your gaze to the front of your mat and take as many steps as you'd like to come up toward the front in forward fold. ahead and cradle your opposite elbows with your hands, coming into ragdoll. Take as much bend in your knees as you would like. Really just allowing your spine to loosen up, decompress. Dropping your hands down to the mat and then coming up to flat back. You might hear me say halfway lift or flat back. I say them interchangeably, but the essence of this is that flat back, that straight spine. Crown of your head is toward the front of the room. Gaze is down toward the floor, and your hands are touching your shins or your knees or your thighs, or maybe they're on the ground. That doesn't work for me to have a flat back, but it might for you. Forward fold. And rolling your spine all the way up to mountain pose. We'll go ahead and take a few forward folds just to warm up that hip joint in the forward fold bending positions. Go ahead and meet in mountain pose, forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, and reverse swan dive up to mountain. One more time, forward fold, halfway lift, flat back, forward fold, reverse swan all the way up to mountain pose. And last one, forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, all the way up to mountain pose. Now when we come down to forward fold, we'll be adding on to halfway lift, forward fold, planting our palms to the mat, taking a deep bend in your knees to step back to plank. Again, this plank can be on your knees or can be up on your toes. Either one is absolutely fine, and we'll be moving through a vinyasa. I'll demonstrate this one on my knees, lowering toward the mat, cobra or upward dog, and then downward dog, or child's pose, whatever works best for you. From downward dog, gaze to the front of your mat, step or hop up to your hands, forward fold, halfway lift to reset, forward fold, and rolling all the way up to mountain. Forward fold. We'll just repeat that series. Halfway lift, forward fold, plant your palms, stepping back to plank, chaturanga, or your version of vinyasa, however you would like, upward dog, and downward dog. Gaze to the front of your mat, step or hop up to your hands, forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, reverse swan dive all the way up to mountain. Last one like that, forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, planting your palms, stepping back to plank, shoulders are over your wrists, lowering for your chaturanga, elbows are close to your body, Upward dog. Shoulders are over your wrists. Downward dog. Hips to the sky. Gaze to your hands. Step or hop. Up to your hands. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. And reverse swan dive all the way up to mountain pose. Take a moment, have a sip of water, and we'll be adding on. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. And now allow your hips to sink back for chair pose. Hands can extend up or be at your heart center. Noticing your knees are even with each other, and when you gaze down, you can see your toes because your hips are sinking back. Slight tuck in your pelvis. And forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. And reverse swan dive all the way up. We'll go ahead and take chair one more time. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Sinking back into chair. Again, notice your knees. Take a glance at your toes. Notice your hips. And forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. All the way up to mountain. This time in chair, we're going to take a twist. So forward fold. Halfway lift. Sitting back into chair. Bringing your hands to heart center. And allowing your upper body to twist to the right while your knees stay level with each other. Gaze is toward the right wall. Option to fly your arms open. Coming back to center. All the way up to mountain. We'll twist to the other side. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Sinking back into chair. Hands to heart center. And twisting to the left. Again, noticing if one of your knees snuck out ahead of the other. Keeping them level with one another. Option to open your arms wide. Hands back to heart center, centering your body and coming up to mountain pose. Feel free to grab a sip of water because we'll be adding on in the next sequence. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Planting your hands on the mat. Stepping back to plank. Shoulders are over your wrists. Chaturanga, or meet us in downward dog. Upward dog. Downward dog. And here our right heel will lift. Coming into our first three-legged dog. Noticing your hips. Trying to keep those centered. Your right heel is raised, your foot is flexed. Go ahead and bend your knee and open your hip and notice how that is different at the hips. Bringing your hip back to neutral, straightening your leg, and bring it back down. Actually, do that on the other side, just to notice. Three-legged dog, left heel is lifted, bending at the knee, opening the hip, bringing your hips back to neutral, and foot back to the mat. Gaze is to the front of your mat, stepping forward to forward fold, and rolling all the way up to mountain. Okay, we're going to put that together. Forward fold, halfway lift, planting your palms, stepping back to plank, lowering for chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog, right heel lifts, bend at the knee to open the hip, take a couple of hip circles here, one direction and then the other, straighten that leg, and bring your knee toward your nose, stepping through to lunge. You can take this lunge with your knee down on the mat or with it extended. We'll take a twist here, raising your right hand up toward the sky. Right hand to the mat, and then lifting your upper body, coming up to high lunge. Hands can be at heart center or up over your head. Bringing the hands back to the mat, stepping back to plank, lowering for chaturanga or meeting us in downward dog. Repeating that on the opposite side, left heel lifts, bend at the knee to open the hip. Take your hip circles, one direction and then the other. Recenter your hips, knee toward your nose, stepping through to a lunge. Again, you can have your knee down or up. We'll be taking a twist on this side. Left hand extends up toward the sky. Touch both hands back to the mat to recenter before coming up to your high lunge. Hands back to the mat. Stepping back to plank, and you can either take your vinyasa or meet us in downward dog. From downward dog, we'll be moving back to the front of the mat. Step or hop up toward your hands, forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. And reverse swan dive all the way up. Feel free to grab a sip of water or just take a breath. We'll be repeating that sequence. Mountain pose, forward fold, halfway lift, planting your palms, bending your knees to step back to plank, chaturanga, or meet us in downward dog. Downward dog, hips to the sky, right heel lifts. This time we'll be bringing our right knee toward our right elbow. Extend back out. Three-legged dog. Right knee to left elbow. Extend out. Three-legged dog. Right knee toward your nose. Extend out. And repeat that motion toward your nose, but plant your foot for lunge. We'll take that twist again. Right hand to the sky. Right hand to the mat, recentering in order to come up for high lunge. Both hands to the mat, stepping back to plank, either meeting us in downward dog or moving through your vinyasa. Left heel lifts to the sky, three-legged dog. Left knee to left elbow, extending all the way out. Left knee to right elbow, extending out. Knee to nose, extending out. And repeating that motion, knee to nose, to come into our lunge. We'll take that twist, left hand to the sky, and left hand back to the mat to recenter, lifting the upper body for high lunge. Your hips are centered here, your right heel is lifted, hands back to the mat, stepping back to plank, or moving through your vinyasa, or meeting us in downward dog. Gaze to the front of your mat, stepping up for forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold, and all the way up to mountain. Last one. Go ahead and grab a sip of water if you'd like. Really getting that heart pumping now. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Planting your palms. Stepping back to plank. Chaturanga, or just meet us in downward dog. Right heel lifts. This time we'll be focusing on a little core crunch, knee to nose. 5, 4, 3, 2, exhaling on a crunch in. 1, extend out. Knee toward your nose to come in for your lunge. Taking that twist. Didn't realize earlier that was a nice little break in the twist. Both hands to the mat. Hands to the sky. Crescent pose. Hands to the mat. Plank. And chaturanga, or downward dog. Left heel lifts. Enjoy this last time. Crunching knee to nose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knee toward your nose, coming forward to your lunge, and taking that twist. Hands to the mat. Upper body extends for crescent lunge. Hands to the mat. Stepping back to plank, chaturanga, or meet us in downward dog. And gazes to the front of your mat. Stepping up to forward fold. Allow yourself a moment here. Halfway lift. forward fold, all the way up to mountain pose. Hands to heart center. Take a moment to recenter yourself. Get a drink of water. We'll be moving from here into some balancing poses. You can always opt to continue in tree. We'll be doing tree and then dancer. So for tree, go ahead and focus your weight on your left foot, bringing your right foot to your ankle, just allowing yourself to get centered here. You can move that foot to your calf or to your inner thigh. Hands can be at heart center or extending up to grow your tree. Option to soften your gaze or keep your gaze focused on a non-moving object in the room to help your balance. Hands to heart center. When we bring our knee in, we'll bring it to the front, keep it lifted, extend out, and then gently set it on the mat. Continuing that balance challenge the whole way. And switching sides, focusing your weight on your right foot, bringing your left foot to your ankle, and then moving your left foot to your calf or to your inner thigh. Your hands can be down or at heart center, or you can grow that tree on this side as you did on the other side. Again, option to soften your gaze, even to close your eyes if you would like that extra challenge, or to keep your gaze focused on a non-moving point. As we come back, bringing your knee into the front, extending your leg out, and then resting your foot on the mat. You can either repeat that one more time, or option to take dancer. For our dancer preparation, your right hand will be extending out at your waist, palm is up, and your right foot will be kicking up towards your glute. That palm will be coming in contact with the inside arch of your foot. Your knees will be staying close to each other. Left hand extends up toward the sky, and the top of your foot kicks into your hand, extending for dancer. Gaze can be down toward the ground or at the wall ahead of you. Hips are staying neutral. Your right hip might need to come down a little bit. And again, as we come out of it, allowing that knee to come all the way through, and then resting the foot back to the mat. Same thing on the other side. Left hand comes out to your side. Left foot comes up toward your glute. Your palm is going to come to the inside arch of your foot. So you're making strong contact with the top of your foot and your fingers. Right hand extends up, and you're kicking your left foot into your palm. Lot of focus there. Noticing your hips are level. And as we come back out of it, same thing as on the other side. Extending your leg straight out, and then resting it on the mat. Excellent balancing. We'll be moving all the way back down to the mat. Sip of water if you like. mountain pose, forward fold, flat back, forward fold, stepping back to downward dog. Right heel lifts toward the sky, knee comes toward your right wrist, and you're settling in for half pigeon. Glancing back behind you, making sure that your foot is directly extending out from your hip. Options for your shin to be closer in toward your groin or extending out to be more parallel with the front of your mat. Coming into proud pigeon, allowing your hips to center with one another so you're not dumping a lot of weight into one or the other, but really staying balanced. And then allowing yourself to fold forward from the chest. Hands can walk out ahead of you, or they can stack to make a pillow under your forehead. Coming into humble pigeon. We'll be here for a few breaths. If there's any of you who are really hoping to take mermaid today, you're welcome to do that. As the rest of us center our breath here. Maybe bring your focus back to your intention. Two more breaths. Walking your hands up and curling your left toes under. We'll come back to downward dog. Extending your left heel high, and we'll come into pigeon on the other side. Left knee behind your left wrist. Right foot extends out directly behind your hip. Coming into proud pigeon, centering your weight between the two hips. Left foot is flexed to protect the knee. You can either have your shin in the same position as on the other side, or it might be different on this side. Extending your chest down toward the mat. For humble pigeon, you can walk your hands out ahead of you, or make that pillow underneath your forehead with your hands stacked on each other. Noticing your breath. Option to take your breath in counts if that helps you to clear your mind. You might notice your heart rate starting to come down. Left hip is really appreciating this stretch. Two more breaths. And walking your hands back toward your hips. Coming back to downward dog. And then we'll be coming back to our tabletop. Just a little bit of core work here. Circling back over to our bird dog that we started with early in practice. knee to elbow, crunching in, extending out, 5, 4. Really focusing on that exhale as you crunch in, 3, 2, 1. Nice straight bird dog, and hand and knee to the mat. Switching sides, left hand extends out, right heel extends out, knee to elbow. Strong exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Extend out, hand and knee to the mat, crossing your ankles and coming around to a seated position, recentering yourself on your mat. We'll be coming into boat pose. So your hands can be on the mat behind your hips, and knees come up, your shins parallel to the mat. Option to keep your hands back here for stability, or you can, keeping your spine nice and long, bring your hands to the back of your hamstrings, or extend them out so they're not touching your legs at all, or even bringing them over your head, straightening your legs. A number of different options in boat pose for you. We'll be here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands to your knees, toes to the mat. Taking that one more time. You can either choose the same variation or change it up. Keeping that long straight spine. Extending your hands wherever you had them before or wherever you'd like them this time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands to your knees, toes to the mat. This time we'll be taking that boat into a twist. Option to stay in the boat you were in before, or to take this twist like you're rowing your boat. Hands are together, clasped, rocking over to the right and then the left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands to your knees, toes to the mat, and we'll be rolling all the way back, one vertebra at a time. Allowing the earth to support you, really appreciating the feel of that mat all along your back. And your heels will come in close to your fingertips. We'll be taking bridge pose, focusing on tilting the pelvis first. That tailbone is the first to come off of the mat. And then the rest of your body follows. Extending the hips high toward the ceiling. Option to walk the shoulders underneath you to get more extension through your front body. More of a heart opener. And option for your palms to touch, fingers to clasp. For those of you who have wheel in your practice, you're welcome to take that now. We'll be taking bridge 3 times. Walking the shoulders out from under you and coming back to the mat. Tailbone is the last to meet the earth. Second time, tailbone comes up first. Hips raise up toward the sky. Hands clasp under you if that's the variation you are taking. Noticing that your knees are not rocking out away from one another, but staying parallel. And if there are other bridge variations you would like to take, you're welcome to. Lowering down, we'll do that one more time. Hips extend up to the sky. Shoulders lock under. Palms come together. Knees stay near one another. And lowering back down. All the way to the mat. That was our last one. If you were in wheel, come on out of it. And we'll bring our knees in toward our chest. Taking a couple of circles here. One direction and then the other. Go ahead and extend your left foot long, keeping your right knee in toward your armpit. And then we'll extend that right knee across your body, coming into a twist. Your shoulders stay planted firmly on the mat. Your gaze can be up toward the ceiling or over your right hand. Your knee might be floating, it might be touching the earth, but your focus is really on those shoulders staying on the earth. Again, with twist, a lot of different variations. If you'd like to shift your legs into a slightly different position, that's okay. Coming back to center. Knees to your chest. Right foot extends long, left knee up toward your armpit, and then over across your body. Arms come out to a T. Your gaze can be up at the ceiling or over your left hand. Giving yourself 4 more breaths here. Rocking all the way back in, knees to your chest, and your left foot will plant like we're coming back into bridge. Right foot extends long and then crosses over. We're coming into figure 4. Bringing your left knee in toward your chest. Your hands can thread through and either grasp your hamstring or your shin. Your right foot is going to stay flexed to protect your knee. And rocking that in to feel a stretch in your right hip. Again, feet are flexed. Two more breaths. Left foot comes down, right foot comes down. Again, coming back into the position as if you were starting bridge. Heels are toward your fingertips. Left foot extends up toward the sky and then crosses over your right knee. Feet are flexed And you rock your right knee in toward your chest, grasping either behind your hamstring or around your shin. Appreciating this opportunity for a stretch in your left hip. Bringing your attention back to your breath. Allowing your heart rate to slow down. Your mind to calm. One more breath here. And unwinding, bringing both knees in, curling into a tight ball. Before we extend out for Savasana, both feet out toward the end of your mat, allowing them to rock out to the sides. Palms might be up to accept the energy in the room. Shoulder blades creep down your back. Neck extends long. I'll be coming up to seated to guide you through this, but you can stay in a reclined position for as long as you like for this Shavasana. This is your time for your body to soak in all of the benefits of the practice that we just provided for it. Giving yourself this moment to rest. Relaxing your forehead. Relaxing your eyebrows. Allowing your eyes to sink down into their sockets. Feeling the breath over the bridge of your nose. Maybe a small smile comes onto your lips. Just relaxing your face. Tongue rests away from the roof of your mouth. Relaxing your neck and your shoulders. Allowing your stomach to sink down toward your spine. The spine is feeling supported by the earth. Relaxing your hips. Feeling your arms and legs rest heavy on the earth. Relaxing your feet. And rest. Again, you can stay here in Shavasana for as long as you would like. For the purposes of this class, I'll go ahead and invite you to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Come into a nice good morning stretch. Arms up above your head. Toes are stretching to the back of the room. And then allowing your bicep to be a pillow. Roll over on one side for a supported fetal position. You might allow your eyes to flutter open if they were closed. Just allowing yourself to come back to adjust to the light in the room.
appreciating yourself for taking this time on your mat. Pressing up through your palm,
Coming up into a seated position. We'll close out practice with some breaths together. Breathing in through your nose. Hold. And out. Last one, in through your nose. Hold. And out. Bring your hands to heart center. May there be peace in your heart, peace in your words, and peace in your thoughts. Namaste.